Hey guys, hello, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Couple of things to apologize for. I always start my videos off like this, but there's this buzzing noise in the back. There's the pool shed over here at a certain hour starts to make this little buzzing. I was filming over there earlier, which is a better spot, but that noise is really irritating. And for my appearance, which I always seem to be apologizing for, but the black eye, if you didn't notice my little contour color here. I'll tell you about that in a moment. So on Thursday, I filmed a video about my reaction to actually having been in a fist fight. I was actually beaten up, so it wasn't even like a fist fight. He won easily, but I was engaged in a kerfuffle. And so I had filmed a video about it, and it was kind of raw in that I was just recovering from it, and I was a little upset, and I didn't really like the video, so I did delete it. But after deleting it, I did regret it a little bit that I deleted it, so I figured I'd come back, tell you the story, and as to why it was the cherry on a cake, a very bad week of not enjoying my job so much. But it's the first time it's happened, really, that I've really just a full week of, I hate this. Not that I'm going to leave it, but it's just every job has its bad days, right? And I had a couple in a row. Thursday. So Thursday night, I was supposed to meet with a young lady who is going to training with my company as a flight attendant. And we met on Facebook, and I had spent some time with her last week, helping her go over schematics, things like that, because she's a local. And she's going to training with my airline. So I figured, who else better to help, right? So we sat down, had a nice time. We were going to do it again Thursday, but then she changed her plans because she really did want to spend more time just crunching out her schematics, which were giving her a hard time. I totally understand. I was a little irritated at the moment because it was a short notice, but since I was in the neighborhood, I had some chores to do. And after my chores, I went to McDonald's, which is always a mistake anyway. No one should be eating at McDonald's, but I do. And so I walked in there, and when I walked in, I noticed, not unusual for my neighborhood, but there was this guy who seemed homeless or whatever, passed out on one of the tables, but he had a little boy with him, this maybe 3 years old, beautiful, beautiful little boy. I mean, incandescently beautiful little boy, fluorescently beautiful little boy. And the little boy was running around the restaurant, fine. He was yelling, "Daddy, Daddy," but Daddy wasn't responding, so he's running around the restaurant. I get my food, I sit down eating it, and the kid suddenly is outside, running around where the drive-through traffic goes through. And I called out, called him back in, called the dad. I'm like, "Hey, dude, your son." And he lifted up his head and he put it back down again. And this happened a couple times. And finally, the little boy climbs into a window frame and then falls and hurts himself and starts to cry and comes back in the restaurant crying. And so I go over and I'm like, dude, your son. And after a couple of efforts, the guy kind of snaps awake really, really quickly. And then he starts to berate the little boy and starts to get very, very mad and yell at the little boy. And yelling, "You're making me look bad." Now, I probably, in some parallel universe, I probably had a choice to say something or not. But in this universe, with me, of course I'd said something, which is totally unnecessary. And I shouldn't have said anything, but I felt it had to be said at the same time. So, whatever. My best friend Marcus would... best friend Marcus, there's a whole idea of best friends. We haven't seen each other in a very long time, but I still think of him as my best friend. But if Marcus were here, he'd be laughing his behind off, because I'm legendary in our relationship for having a very sharp tongue and a smart mouth. And he knew it would get me in trouble one day, and it finally did happen. So he'd be laughing right now. Marcus, if you're watching this, this one's for you. So I said that in my last video that I deleted. So the guy says, basically, he comes up and he's in my face and he says, "You say one more thing." "What'd you say?" I said, "Oh, He said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "It's not the boy's fault. You look bad." And he said, "You say one more thing and I'm going to hit you," or something like that. And the vernacular of thugs, I'm not quite up on. And so I said, "What, you're going to hit me at McDonald's?" And he did. Ow. Wow, that hurts. Yeah, he did. He hit me. Bang. And I've been hit before, but it's been like 30 years since I've been hit in the face before. Um, and I reacted. I just didn't know if he was going to stop then or not. So I reacted and I jumped up and I started fighting him. Now, I'm not built for fighting. I have no experience or technique for fighting. And so the guy handily won. He easily, if this was a boxing match, he won easily. But I did get a couple licks in. I'm fairly big and fairly strong, so I was able to get a couple punches in there, but he won easily because I was left wounded, and he seemed to walk away fine with the little boy. They walked out. The restaurant called the police, and I waited for the police. They took about a half hour for the police to show up, and I guess there's other things going on in Las Vegas than a fight with a middle-aged man and a thug at a McDonald's. So I filled out a police report, mostly not for me, but in some vague hope that one day, if the police recognize this guy from the video footage or something, that they could capture him or do something and just basically take the boy away, because that little boy is doomed. Otherwise, he's doomed. And you know, when you see kids in those situations and you just think, I wish they could just be safe. I said in the other video, I was raised not in such a violent environment to a degree, but we were very, very poor, and it was a very dangerous environment. And thank God, when I was old enough, I had somewhere to go, and that was my grandmother. And I just hope that this little boy has a grandma somewhere he can go to, or somewhere safe that he can go to later on when he has an option. But so I did have a police report filled out for that reason. And also in the event that I had any real serious injury that I wasn't aware of, that I could maybe then later on have a police report to go back to. I don't know, but it felt like the right thing to do. So I did that, and I got home and I filmed a video about it, which was just bad. Poorly timed and poorly filmed, and I just wasn't good. And that was it. That's what happened on Thursday. The week before that, the week and a half before that, I've had 2 trips. I had great crews, thank God, senior crews, and but they were just unpleasant trips. Not because of the crew, but just the trips were just, there's always something happening. Weather, pallets not showing up, just chaos. And no fault for the airline besides, no, it was the pilots. We had 2 pilots that didn't show up or something for some reason. I don't know what, but we had to wait for other pilots. And they took their time, as they're allowed, to go get food. But I don't know where we were flying from. Minneapolis? I think we were flying from Minneapolis to Las Vegas. And this woman on board was very upset. She came on board crying because she was coming back to Las Vegas to hopefully be in time for her son's last breath. He had a do not resuscitate order, and he was dying, and she wanted to come and be here for his last breath, and not to miss that. And here we're waiting for these pilots, and I'm a mess. But so before we landed, I gave her my phone number, my email address, and we had a lot of conversation. My chaser, oh God, what is her name? I can see her face. My chaser and I, we really, the 2 of us, I think we're great in terms of being there for support emotionally and all that. This woman works at a casino nearby, I guess, doing bingo. And so now I'm going to be going to play bingo sometime with this woman after she's recovered, I'm sure. But she did leave me a message shortly after saying that he did pass. I didn't respond back with did you get a chance to see him or not, but I'll give her a couple more days before I text her. But just things like that were happening. And then was it the last day? No, it wasn't. We had a fume event. No, it's called an air quality event now because I guess fume event sounds bad. But it was in the back of the aircraft. Positions B and C said they smelled something like paint, like house paint. Up in front, we didn't smell anything. And it was really just upon descent. And it must have been super localized because no one else said anything either. It was just our two flight attendants. And I trust them both. They're super senior. And they've been through everything. So, we let the whole process started there. We alert the captain. They come on they try to recreate the experience so they can recreate the smell. And I don't really know if I certainly didn't smell anything again where I was. But that happened, of course. That's a delay. And then I think that night or the day after, I got an email from somebody with some forms to fill out that were for workman's comp or something like that. And now I'll tell you, if this happened to anybody else, I would say fill out any form they send you. Fill out any form, just fill it out. Now, in my little mind, I was like, workman's comp. I didn't smell anything. I wasn't affected physically. I didn't notice anything, so I wasn't going to fill out this workman's comp form. Yeah, well, that didn't work out. This thing happened on Thursday, right? So Thursday night, I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to figure out how can I prepare, because I didn't really hurt that badly. My chest didn't really hurt that badly Thursday night. It only really started to hurt this morning. I was looking at my schedule trying to figure out how am I going to manage this work trip. It's a short 3-day trip, super easy. I was sure that my eye would recover. It's a little, that is not pretty. It looks worse on camera, I think, than it does in person. And then I noticed sick, SIC, next to the 3 days for this trip. And I was instantly irritated. How dare they take me off this trip? And why would they take me off this trip? Well, apparently I didn't fill out that form. And so work didn't know that I wasn't sick because of this fume event. So they took me off the trip being sick because I didn't tell them I wasn't sick. Because I didn't tell them it was whatever, And so since I didn't tell them that I'm okay by filling out this form, they took me off the trip. Now, I believe I'm covered by sick hours, and I never call out sick. I've called out sick once, mostly because I had to take my cat to the vet. But I rarely get sick, and so I have sick bank. So I'm hoping they used sick hours for that. I'm really hoping they do because I can't afford to not be paid for a trip. So that's what's been going on. And I'm sort of grateful. I'm actually very grateful right now that I was taken off of that trip because I clearly need some time to recover. My chest hurts because I really do think that I have a cracked rib or something. The bruise on my chest is phenomenal. It looks like a piece of steak. So I have quite a bruise on my side, and one of my ribs or an area of my chest is super, super sore when I cough or if I roll over. So I think I either have a cracked or I don't think it's broken, but I have a cracked rib. This I can fix with makeup because I have lots of things to cover, but hopefully by next week, I think I have 8 days off. This will be gone or at least faded away. And I'm sure my chest will feel better. I'm not in a tremendous amount of pain, but I am in a lot of discomfort. Excuse me. I'm not breathing really heavily, so eventually I have a little cough. And it hurts to cough. So if I don't feel much better by Monday, I am going to go to the hospital. I have Sunrise Hospital really nearby me. I just don't want to go this weekend because the idea of going into an emergency room in Las Vegas on a weekend in my neighborhood doesn't sound like fun. It sounds like the Star Wars cantina is what it sounds like. So I'm gonna go to there on. I'll go to the hospital on Monday if I'm not feeling much better. So I thank you guys for watching, and for those people who saw that video, the few people who did see that video before I deleted it, thank you for your kind words. You're very sweet. Yeah, so there you go. So life lesson for me: fill out every form that work sends you, and just keep my mouth shut. I didn't. I was on a fence. I wanted to say something because I really needed that man to understand that it wasn't the boy's fault that this was happening and the danger of the situation, because all sorts of stuff could have happened to that little boy while he was passed out. We're right on South Maryland. Anything could have happened to that little boy. And then I regret saying anything because, what good would it have done in that situation with these kinds of people? I don't know. So, yeah, I have mixed feelings over whether or not I should have said anything, but I probably shouldn't have. Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm rambling. Thanks for watching, and since I do have a week or more off, I might film another video this week. I might not, because I don't feel 100%, and I'm not sure if I'm going to feel like I'm in the mood to talk about anything. So if you do see another video, watch it. I'd appreciate it. I really never ever say subscribe to my channel. Some people subscribe for different reasons, flight attendant stuff. Some people, for some reason, just dig my stories. I don't know, but feel free. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. Always try to be nice, and I'll talk to you later, okay? I'm going to try and find Buddy and then go feed my stray cat, Diana, who's around here somewhere. Talk to you later. Lie safe. Bye.